Okay, so picture this. You're in a market, like a really bustling market in Ghana, and you see a shirt and you're like, wait, is that? And it is. It's your shirt, like literally your shirt, the one you donated a while back, like you got rid of it, you donated it, thought it was going to a good cause.
It's kind of a crazy thought, right? Like all those clothes we get rid of, where do they actually end up? That's what this whole thing is about, like this deep dive. We're looking at eco-nightmares, and it really shows what happens to all that fast fashion, after we're done with it.
It really makes you think twice about like, oh, I'm just going to donate this, it'll be fine. Like you picture it going to help someone, right?
Yeah, you think someone's going to get some good use out of it.
But like, that's not always the reality.
Nope, not at all. And a big reason for that is just the crazy amount of clothes that are made every year. We're talking over 100 billion garments.
Seriously.
100 billion. Yeah, like more than enough to clothe every single person on Earth, like tons of times over. And the whole fast fashion thing, that's how it works, right? Like constant new trends, cheap clothes that fall apart.
So we just keep buying and buying and buying.
Exactly. And that's where the problem with all this textile waste comes in. Even if you donate clothes, the secondhand market can only handle so much.
What happens to the rest of it?
Landfills, a lot of it. Sometimes they burn it or get shipped overseas.
That's where that crazy image comes in from Eco-Nightmares, right? With the river.
Oh, yeah, that one was wild. A river just totally choked with clothes, like a sea of fabric.
It's just a powerful image, like so disturbing. And you're like, oh my gosh, that is literally the waste that we're creating.
It really makes you think, where do my clothes go when I get rid of them? And it's not just the visual stuff either, all that textile waste.
Yeah.
It's polluting.
How so?
Well, a lot of clothes nowadays are made with these synthetic fabrics that take forever to decompose, like hundreds of years. And when they do finally break down, it's into microplastics. Plus, there are all these dyes and chemicals from making the clothes in the first place.
Okay, yeah, that's where it starts to get kind of scary. Tell me more about those chemicals.
Like obeso dyes, formaldehyde, even PFAS, which is like the forever chemical, they're showing up in clothes more and more these days.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it's not. These things can seep into the soil and water, contaminate everything, and they can even be harmful to people.
So it's like we're basically taking our pollution problem, shoving it in a box, and shipping it off to someone else.
You got it. And that's a whole other can of worms, the ethics of sending all our waste to other countries.
Yeah.
It raises some big questions about, global fairness and who's really responsible for all this.
I mean, it's crazy to think about, right? Like, just getting rid of our old clothes can have such a huge impact, like around the world.
It really does. And it's like, how economists talk about externalities? That's kind of what's going on here. Like with those cheap, trendy clothes, the price tag doesn't show the whole story.
How do you mean?
Like the environmental damage, the health risks, the social cost, all that stuff. It's like we're passing those costs on to other people, not just here, but everywhere.
Right, right. So what can we even do about it? It's like overwhelming to even know where to start.
It can feel like that, I get it. But just knowing about the problem, that's the first step. Once you're aware, you can start making different choices.
Okay, so let's get practical. What can people actually do to, like, break out of this fast fashion cycle? What can our listeners do?
Honestly, the biggest thing is just buying less stuff. Like, before you click add to cart, ask yourself, do I really need this? Or am I just falling for, like, some marketing trick?
Yeah, because we're constantly bombarded with ads,
Yeah.
Like, you need this. You need the latest thing.
Exactly. So just be aware of that. And when you do buy something, go for quality over quantity. Look for clothes that are well made and will last longer. Stuff that's not just like trendy for a minute and then gone.
So basically, invest in those pieces you'll wear for years, not just for one season. Like a capsule wardrobe, right?
Exactly. And when it's time to get rid of clothes, look for better options than just tossing them. Do some research and find places that handle donations the right way.
Like local organizations.
Yeah, or try selling or swapping clothes so they can have a second life. There are tons of apps and websites for that now.
I've seen those. It seems like there's like a whole movement now towards sustainable fashion, which is cool.
Yeah, people are definitely becoming more aware and brands are starting to pay attention to that. But there's still a long way to go.
So while we're supporting ethical brands and all that, it's also about, like, changing our whole mindset, right? Like, we don't need to be chasing new stuff all the time.
Absolutely. It's about being more mindful about what we buy and appreciating the clothes we already have, even repairing stuff when it gets worn out instead of just tossing it. Like, think about the real cost of your choices.
It really is eye-opening, this whole conversation. I know we'll be looking at my own closet in a different way now.
Yeah.
But, like, beyond what we do individually,
Mhm.
what needs to happen on a larger scale? Like what kind of changes need to happen, systemically?
That's a huge question. We need to get away from this, like, take, make, dispose system and move towards something that's more circular.
What does that mean, circular?
It means designing clothes that last longer and can be recycled and having better ways to handle waste and making sure brands are responsible for what happens to their products from start to finish.
Sounds like a big task.
It is, but it comes down to changing our values and priorities as people and as a whole society, like recognizing that our choices have consequences, even if we don't see them right away. Remember that river full of clothes?
Yeah.
That's a reminder that there's no away when it comes to waste. It has to go somewhere.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what's the main thing you want people to take away from this?
I mean, it's really pretty simple. Like, when we get rid of clothes, they don't just vanish. It's like they go on this journey, an afterlife. And that journey, it can really mess things up, like for the environment and for people all over. And that's what Eco Nightmare shows us, like right in our face.
It really makes you think. We can't just keep shopping and think that'll fix things. We have to buy less stuff, make better choices about what we buy, and demand better from those fashion companies.
Exactly. It's about like ditching that whole fast fashion thing and thinking more about, sustainability, being more thoughtful about our clothes.
Well, this whole deep dive has been pretty eye-opening, that's for sure. I know I'm going to be thinking about my own closet a lot differently now. So for everyone listening, what about you? What can you do, even just one small thing to make a difference? Could be buying fewer clothes, maybe checking out some of those ethical brands, or even just, wearing the clothes you already have a bit longer. Every little bit helps, right? And on that note, that's a wrap on today's deep dive.
Yeah, until next time, stay curious, and let's keep making things better out there.